Wanna play?
Here's Johnny!
I need a bigger boat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
We have such sights to show you.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Hey everybody, welcome back to this Honest Opinion series where I go through 5 movies that I've never talked about on the channel before and just talk about them for the first time. So that's pretty much what we do here on this Honest Opinion series. Yeah, I just take movies that I haven't talked about and I talk about them. So we got a pretty good lineup today. I wouldn't say that I really dislike any of these movies. You saw what they are by the title and the thumbnail and all that, so let's get right into it. So the first movie that I wanted to talk about today was Wrong Turn. So I've only seen the first Wrong Turn. I haven't seen the sequels, and I don't plan on it. But the first Wrong Turn, I like it, but I don't think it's a classic. I think that's what most people probably think about it like. It's got some pretty beautiful shots in the film. The film is shot amazingly, but I don't know, there's not too much memorable about this movie that really kind of makes it stand out to me. There are pretty cool moments, and the killers are pretty cool, and it's got a good premise. They just took a wrong turn and stumbled across these inbred cannibal maniacs, but I don't know, to me it's just not a classic like some of the other movies that came out around the time, or just an all-time classic in general. Next up is Basket Case. So Basket Case, and it's an absolute blast. I love Basket Case. It's so insane. You're not gonna see anything like it ever, anywhere. Just try to watch Basket Case. There's nothing you can compare it to. It is insane. It's about this guy who has this deformed brother that came out kind of attached to him, so they had to take him off his body, and it's crazy because he's a serial killer, because everybody's disgusted by him, everybody's grossed out by his appearance, so he just takes offense to all this, and he just goes around killing people. The kills are insane in this movie. It's got some amazing gore, and it's one of, if not the lowest budget movie I've ever seen, probably besides Blair Witch Project, but that doesn't count because that's a great, that's just an incredible movie. But Basket Case is just, it's fun, it's crazy, there's a lot of messed up moments in the film, there's a lot of gross moments in the film, but I would absolutely recommend Basket Case to any fan of horror. Next up is House, or if you prefer the Japanese name, Hausu. I can't describe this film. I legitimately can't. It's a Japanese movie. It's subtitles, but a group of girls go up to one of their aunt's house for the summer, right? And the aunt's house is haunted. It's got an evil cat with evil eyes, and the aunt is just weird. She breaks the fourth wall, and there's somebody who gets killed by a bunch of mattresses. There's somebody who gets turned into a pile of bananas, legitimately. Someone gets turned into a pile of bananas. Somebody gets set on fire, but it's not on fire. There's an outline of them and it's fire. It's easier to explain where this movie came from. So they wanted to make Jaws. Yeah, no, How did this? Okay. So a studio producer in Japan asked a director to make Jaws because Jaws was such a huge phenomenon in America that they're you know what? We want to make this too. Go make Jaws. And so what they did, the director of the movie went to his 11-year-old daughter and just goes, what are some things that will scare you? And that's how it came. It is absolutely insane. You will never feel more like you're on drugs when you're not on drugs while watching this film. It is a trip. I absolutely adore this film. if you have any interest at all in foreign movies, this is on HBO Max if you have that, so absolutely check this out. It's unlike any other movie that I've ever seen. Like, you just can't, I can't compare it to anything. Like, the closest movie that I can compare it to is Evil Dead 2, but even then, it's like Evil Dead 2 ramped up to 10. It's something else. You gotta check it out. Next up is Son of Frankenstein. So I mentioned in my ranking every horror movie that I've ever seen video that I had just watched Son of Frankenstein the day of filming that video, and I preferred it to both Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, and I do. It's so good. Like, you can tell the difference between movie making quality from 1931 to 1939. It just improves so much, and it's so good. So it follows Victor Frankenstein's son. It ignores Bride, but that doesn't really matter. So it follows Victor Frankenstein's son as he goes back to the town where Frankenstein took place in to kind of like check in on like what his dad was doing while he was still alive, and just kind of like see what his life was like. He's not a scientist or anything. He's just a guy who wants to see what his dad lived like. And the town is on edge. The town is like, I don't know if we should trust him because you know who his dad is. He made the monster. And so the whole movie, the first like maybe like 30-40 minutes, it's just like he's there. There's a lot of like family moments. There's a lot of characters introduced. And one of the characters is Igor, played by Bela freaking Lugosi of all people. But yeah, so Igor comes up to this guy. He goes, I gotta show you a secret. I gotta show you this. So he takes him into Frankenstein's old castle. He takes him into a secret passage. And boom! There lies the monster's prone body on the freaking table. And it's so awesome. Like, the ending is absolutely insane. Like, the dude does, I'm not gonna spoil it, but the dude does like a Tarzan move, and it's crazy. And it's just like a nice slow burn movie, and it's really suspenseful. And there are really like creepy moments in the film. It's such an amazing movie. It's in my top 15 horror movies of all time. Like, it is an absolute must watch for any fan of the Universal Monsters or Frankenstein or even just black and white movies in general. It is a huge recommend for me. And finally, a classic that I think is kind of weird that I somehow haven't talked about yet, but that is Gremlins. So Gremlins, it's a classic. Like, it's amazing. Personally, it's not one of my all-time favorites. Like, I love the film, but it's not one of my all-time favorites. But it's still amazing. Like, I love the rules. Everybody knows them. Like, you can't pour water on them. You can't feed them after midnight. And they're just some cool moments that come out of it. And the Gremlins themselves are awesome. I love, like, the big brawl at the end with the movie theater and, like, all the stores going on. Like, I love that. And there's just so much good moments in this film. It's an absolute classic, and it's just a great movie. It's Gremlins. It's one of the first horror movies. It is the first horror movie that I ever seen, but I never really considered it to be a horror movie. Like, it is, but I don't really consider it to be one. But just Gremlins is such a classic movie. Like, if you haven't seen it, this is probably the one that I recommend the most because it is a classic. And if you're a horror fan and somebody asks you, oh, what is your opinion on Gremlins, and you haven't seen it, just a little bit weird. So yeah, Gremlins is an absolute classic. It is a must-watch, and yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching my 5th Honest Opinions video. So this series is kind of like an interactive series. I want to know what you think about these films in the comments below. That's why I do this, because I want to know what other people think about these films. So let me know what you think about these movies in the comments, and also let me know what other movies you want to see me talk about on this series in the comments. It's kind of tough to decide because it's a very random order. Like, I don't follow an order for these. I just kind of like pick 5 movies. So if there were suggestions in the comments, then I will absolutely take them any day of the week. Like, I really love all of these movies that I talked about today. Like, there isn't that much wrong with any of them, and I would suggest all of them. Like, seriously, these are some great movies. If there's an Honest Opinions video where I love all of the movies the most, it's gonna be this one. Like, all of these movies are absolute classics. All of these movies a lot of people have already seen. So let me know what you think about these films in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for Friday, where I believe we're going to be doing the top 10 2000s horror movies. Finally, I know, it's been 4 months. But yeah, I believe that's what's going to happen next. So thank you for watching, goodbye, and good night. Bang.